Hi, my name is Brianna Dzuricsko, and my project is on leveraging AI for participatory planning, specifically in business districts in Cincinnati, Ohio. So we'll go over the definition of participatory planning, why Cincinnati, the global landscape of participatory planning, an AI case study, and then looking to the future with some recommendations. By definition, participatory planning emphasizes the involvement of the entire community in the strategic and management processes of urban planning, thereby giving rise to community level processes. It takes the needs of a diverse stakeholder group or beneficiaries into account when creating plans for a community. Throughout my research, some insights have been that citizen empowerment provides voice in the planning process. There's a lot of community engagement with local governments, nonprofits, other organizations. It emphasizes the inclusion of diverse interests and focus areas. There are a variety of different levels of involvement throughout the process, whether that be time, feedback, actual deliverables. There's a lot of data generated throughout the entire process to inform plans on both qualitative and quantitative means. And there's the opportunity for iteration, so getting plan feedback, sharing progress reports, and more. This map, created by the UN Habitat as part of the Our City Plans project, outlines three key phases of the participatory planning process on a super large scale. So, this is for an entire city. But the general idea is assessment, planning, creating the operations of the system, and the implementation of the system. Throughout this map, they advocate for 21 touch points with citizens in the Our City Plans process, just showing that there's a lot of emphasis for this participatory nature in different settings. So, why Cincinnati? Cincinnati neighborhood business districts transcend generations. So, they're all around a lot longer, they're mainstays in the community. There are 38 unique business districts throughout the city of Cincinnati. And they also serve as hubs for daily tasks, social interactions, public gatherings. It's where people go to spend their time. And it's essential that these districts meet the diverse needs of their surrounding communities. And the citizens who live and work in each area have really important feedback for the future of these areas. So, an example of participatory planning within Cincinnati is the Over the Rhine 2002 Comprehensive Plan. Now, there are a lot of aspects and commentary on this plan as it is, but for the sake of this project, we'll focus specifically on the participatory methods that they used. So, they used several different steering committees, issue focus committees, and community visioning workshops, engaging a lot of different stakeholders across the city. So, strengths were the opportunities for engagement at different levels and active recruitment of those stakeholders, but some potential weaknesses were the implementation accountability and just overall distrust in the participatory planning process because of that. So, some learnings and next steps is there's a large amount of data that's gathered through all of these different kind of avenues for engagement. It's also important that there's established clear implementation and accountability plans that can ensure that community voices are being heard. And continuous engagement with citizens throughout the plan implementation can build trust and lead to more adaptive plans overall. So there are a lot of different opportunities for participation, especially in related to technology. So here's just a few throughout research that I found. So on the high tech side, we've already discussed urbanist AI in class, but they've used generative AI in participatory planning, and I featured a case study here in Helsinki. There's also the use of gamification, such as platforms like Roblox, to engage children in the participatory planning process, and this features the capital city of Indonesia. Then there's also kind of medium technology. So that might be in Philadelphia, they use text surveys to better understand transportation needs throughout the city. And there's also My Park Amsterdam, which uses a mobile application to kind of geotag photos and written feedback throughout different parks. And then on the low tech side, you can see they're a little more handwritten down to the nitty gritty, but there's transect walks that's featured in Rio. So really getting out into the community and walking around with these folks and learning about their area, as well as different co-design workshops that are featured in Canada. So clearly there's a challenge that analyzing all of the data collected in this participatory planning process is resource intensive. So gathering the data, understanding it, and translating it into insights for future plans. So I would like to make the case for AI for data analysis to save time. So my big question is, how can AI support planners in accurately analyzing participatory data, capturing neighborhood level sentiment, and tracking implementation outcomes based on the original public input? So I targeted 4 key questions that we're going to test in our AI case study. So I wanted to know if the platform I selected could accurately analyze quantitative data from the community input, if it could analyze any sentiment to reveal public opinion, tone, or emotion, and can it segment responses by geography, zip codes, or different districts to identify neighborhood-specific trends. And then as a bonus, I wanted to know if it could support an ongoing dialogue and not just the initial data collection. That way it could serve as a resource for planners throughout their journey. So I located a tool called Julius AI, which its primary focus is on data analysis. So what I did is I collected the community perception survey data from the City of Cincinnati. There are about 290,000 data points throughout the entire survey, through all of the questions. So the City of Cincinnati runs this test to randomized individuals, and they gather kind of all of the data to help inform future decisions. So I conducted 3 primary prompts. And an important thing to note is that Julius AI cleans all of the data using Python coding language, regardless of the information that you input, and there's the opportunity to output visuals. So the first prompt is talking about understanding 3 to 5 key metrics from the survey responses and creating recommendations for community planning purposes. A key thing here is it was able to generate a visualization of the data based on the key areas of the survey, so quality of life, city image, and so on. It also is able to create summary findings, so planners can return to this tool and continue to explore different summaries, different themes, different patterns throughout this data. So this is showing one key thing is that the metric trends to have a relatively high average score, indicating that on balance, residents rate their quality of life favorably. The second prompt was exploring 3 to 5 recommendations for city development based on the sentiment shared within the written aspects of this survey. So upon uploading this spreadsheet, Julius actually ran a sentiment analysis specifically for the language itself. It identified key themes and it created recommendations. So just to highlight one, it also shows the methodology. So the overall sentiment within this survey was mixed to a slightly negative tone. Many written responses expressed concerns about the service quality, safety, and urban infrastructure in Cincinnati. Now, I will say it was not fully disclosed if all of the written responses were required within the survey. So this could be a slight bias based on that, but it at least gives us a summary of what we are looking at. The third prompt was segmenting information by specific zip code. So how could Julius take all of this data shared by citizens and how could it segment it by zip code so we can better understand how to target different areas, especially in the city planning area. So I took one specific survey question, which was about the city efforts to support minority and women-owned businesses, relating back to that idea of how business districts really play an important role within the city. So it once again took all of the data and conducted a sentiment analysis and created a sentiment score for each of the zip codes. I was interested to know who was most favorable and who was least favorable, and then I identified some key themes and some additional recommendations based on my prompt. So this gave us a chance to kind of explore how Cincinnati can better leverage their access to these neighborhoods. And then as a bonus, I wanted to explore their kind of chat with the data tool to see what the output would be. So I was able to go back to the previous prompt and kind of have a dialogue with the spreadsheet using Julius, and it was able to create visualizations as well as do further data analysis. So some key lessons learned throughout this kind of case study is Julius is really streamlined for non-data experts. It can code any data that's input into the system, and you can prompt the AI for optimal results by providing additional context and running additional follow-on prompts. It also has that added bonus of creating visualizations, which are good for quick conversations. And then looking into the future, I think due to its resource-intensive process, participatory planning needs new tools. AI can assist cities in creating new forms of citizen engagement, scaling those methods, and analyzing the data. An important thing to note is that AI can't replace the community perspective, but it can help it be heard more clearly and more often by using AI tools. And some recommendations for Cincinnati is to continue to build trust with the community members, focus on smaller areas like business districts for participatory planning efforts, aggregate large amounts of data using AI, and create follow-up reports using AI to better engage with citizens on a long-term basis, even such as public dashboards. Thank you. Those are my recommendations for participatory planning in AI.